colorway because I thought it'd be fun to try it. So I think it looks kind of bright and
It's a pretty block.
so this block has two different
That's what I did.
sections, and I call this section the sun ray section, and this section the sun and earth, and this is supposed to be the sun and then the sky and the earth. So you know, I'm into symbolism, and the templates, I tried them and they work. Okay, so we should be okay with that.
The new one.
No, that was the other block, Birds in the Air.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So what you have to do is follow this, which tells you what to cut. But let's say you decide, well, I don't know how the yardage is going to go, but I made the yellow in the middle and oranges and then that way. So you'll probably end up doing it that way. And on this little block here, there are letters that show you where the templates go in the block, so you can kind of see what you're doing. You're not just doing it blind. So after you cut them all out, the first thing you do is sew these two together, which is C and D. C and D. So here, C and D up in the corner of the block. I'll just show you on here. You're sewing these together. Okay, and you notice on this block there's a right one and there's a left one of both of them.
So you better flip it over.
So when you're cutting it, you know, if you put your fabric right side together, now most of your fabrics, the Cafe Facet has a right and a wrong side. I'd probably say that wrong. Some people say Cafe Facet. Cafe. You don't say the F-E on the end?
He doesn't.
He doesn't?
What does
Okay,
he
I guess
know?
I better change.
You gotta change his pronunciation.
Yeah, we'll write him a letter.
Yeah. So when you're cutting it out, if if you're doing a batik, it doesn't matter that much. Most of them, some of them do. So you need to check. These I don't think matter, but this one will, and this yellow one will. So you have a right and a left, and that matters. So you see how this is the left one, and this is the right one. Now, whoops. So I sew it together, and then I sew these sections together, which are E and F. Okay. Now before I sew it to the center, well, it doesn't really matter when you do it. You can sew it to the center and then sew it to the outside. The only tricky thing about these blocks, it's really not tricky at all. I mean, it fits together well. You just line it up and sew it, and you're making your point up here, and it just really works fine. But this is the part that's a little tricky. So what I've been doing is when I sew, okay. Okay, now I think I got that twist. Oh yeah, this one goes here. When I sew this to that, I want the curved edge to be as even as possible. Okay, and so the extra, there's going to be some extra because of the way I drew the template. The extra is better to have up here. Okay, so what I did was I tried to center it as much as possible, and I ended up, when I sewed mine, having a little bit of extra on each. So you see I have a little bit there, you know, just a little wiggle room on this block, and I'll show you why you kind of need that in a second. So when you sew C and D to this block, try to leave a little bit of wiggle room on either side, okay? Like that. By then, either that you sew this on then or you sew it on later.